Alright guys, my name is Faints, and today we're going to be doing going over some two insane PvP matches that I had. I'm currently in server 39, Master Guild, shout out to my boys. Uh, but I guess I'll be recording on behalf of them. So basically, I have these two insane PvP matches. I already tried recording this once, but the first one was really quiet, so I ended up having to do this again. So first we're going to be watching the Summeran DMG guy, the battle against him. This guy I actually was very confused with at first. So he lays off with his Porygon Z, right? And and so basically this was like a setup kind of Porygon Z. So he starts off with the Trick Room and the Gravity, which is called like this. The Trick Room is called Deceptive Space in this game, which I don't really know why, but I was kind of expecting the Toxic there because it's a Porygon Z. So I just set up the sub and he starts setting up. I start setting up as well, but I set up my Garchomp rather than setting up everything else. So he goes for the curse, puts a curse on my substitute. So I just keep setting up here, and the curse takes out my sub. So here I'm like, okay, I need to take this out because it's gonna start putting curses on me, and I can't afford to lose my Garchomp at the very beginning of the game. So I just go for the Dragon Rush there. He actually lives on 1 health because of the curse. But so he sends the Steelix. So I swap out because I don't want to get some curse damage. Plus he has Ice Fang. So I swapped out to my Kingdra. He takes it pretty well. So he swaps in the Lapras. I just go for the Dragon. Oh no, I go for the Hydro Pump. And now I'm gonna go for the Dragon Breath. Maybe trying to get like a poison. I mean, not poison. A paralyzed, but he ends up poisoning me. But I end up getting a crit, and it does a load of damage. Um, it it does a load of damage because of the sniper ability, which is fantastic. But so I start getting smoke screens off because I don't really want him to be able to hit my Garchomp if I once my Kingdra dies. So I swap in my Garchomp, do a Hone Claws, start set up again, and he hits me with an Avalanche. So I'm like, okay, I can probably take him out with a Dragon Rush here. So I go for the Dragon Rush, and he ends up living like on such a little bit of health. But I end up getting the flinch, which was insane. So I got super lucky with the flinch, and I just go for the Earthquake to take him out. So he sends in the Steelix. I'm like, okay, I can probably take an Ice Fang. So I go for the Earthquake here. Doesn't take him out, of course, because Steelix has insane amount of defenses. So I take the Ice Fang pretty well. I go for the Earthquake to finish him off, but he ends up switching out to his Zapdos. So I just rack up some more leftovers regen, and so he goes for the Hidden Power Ice onto my Zapdos, and I switched into my Zap because most Hidden Power Ices do like nothing, but he ended up critting me, so I had to Roost there, and then he sends out the Light Screen, which really doesn't help him that much at the moment. So I Toxic there, waste his berry, and I saw him switch out earlier, so I was kind of expecting him to switch to a Steelix because nobody really wants to get Toxic by anybody. So I hit him with the Heat Wave on the swap in, which is really good, and then I hit him with another to take out the Steelix, which is really, really good. So he sends in Tyranitar, so I really did not want to take a rock move by it, so I swap in my Steelix, and he ends up going for Toxic, which is good. So he ends up swapping out. I predict to swap out and go for the Rock Slide. I get to do a little bit of damage. He sets up a Reflect, and so I'm just going to go for Crunch to start to like lower his defense, which I got a crit right there, which is really nice, but it doesn't really work out. My Onix just ends up dying, or my Steelix ends up just dying because I couldn't really do much with the Reflect up. And I kept trying to get those defense draws, but it just wasn't doing it for me. So he ends up taking out my Steelix right there. He also had a Metronome on the Zapdos, which is crazy. So I was kind of expecting the Hidden Power Ice, but he ends up setting a Light Screen again, and I just go for the Toxic because he didn't have a Berry anymore, and so he sets up the Reflect and the Light Screen. So he's pretty tanky right now, but I just go for the Shadow Force to rack up the Toxic damage. He misses, then I hit him, and then the Toxic damage takes him out. So That was a good run with the Zapdos. But now here he has Tyranitar. So my Giratina is very bulky, so I knew that I could take a Crunch. But he ends up going for the severe or for the Toxic there, and I get the Toxic off too. So I go for a Toxic to after his Berry, and it ends up missing, and then he does a lot of damage with the Crunch. Um, I go for the Toxic again, hoping that it doesn't miss, and it doesn't. So I got really lucky there. Um, and uh, so I just let my Giratina die right there, and so I just go for the Protect to rack up the toxic damage. He goes for the Avalanche, so that's okay. I just go for the Outrage because I didn't want to go for the Double Protect and then lose my multi skill. But he ends up taking me really low. Even with the multi skill because of that avalanche, and so he hits me with a crunch, and then the poison damage takes him out. So it's 2v1 right now, so I just sent in my Garchomp, maybe hoping I could like set up or something because this is my strongest, and he has the Infernape left, so I just go for an Earthquake, and that was game. So that one was really close. I wasn't, I don't know if that could have maybe ended differently if I didn't do some of those predictions, but that was really good. So, we got one more, and this is the crazy one. This one's against Rambo. Okay. By the way, I love that movie. But this one, um, I kind of like underestimated a few things right here. But most Mews are like have special move sets. I don't really know why, but he has the Ice Beam. So I switch into my Kingdra, and he gets frozen, which I was so mad about. I was just planning on doing some smoke screens, and I end up thawing out this turn. And so the next turn, he ends up just taking me out with the Ice Beam. And I much would have rather have gotten an accuracy drop there, but I just switched to my Giratina and go straight for the Shadow Force there because I didn't really think many other things on the team had. I don't think they had any other ice moves, so I just swapped to my Giratina there, and then he swaps into the Tyranitar and tanks the Shadow Force. So I swap into my Garchomp, start setting up. So I go for a Hone Claws there, and he'll switch out to his Charizard. So I'm thinking like I've really only seen one Charizard with a Hidden Powder Ice, so I should be okay. And he ends up having Dragon Breath. Um, so I get it ended up doing like very little damage. So I was like, okay, I can set up a little bit more because I also have my leftovers, and that'll heal like half of it. So I'm really like in the clear to start setting up my Garchomp and maybe hit a sweep, because yeah, I haven't taken any of his out. So he goes for one more, and I go just to take him out this time because I have 3 Home Claws set up, and that usually takes out a majority of a majority mon. So he sets up the Sceptile. I'm like, oh shoot, this is really fast, and he ends up hitting me with the Leaf Blade crit, which has a high critical hit ratio, which was really really unfortunate. I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have set up so much. I was getting a little greedy. So then he sends out Tyranitar. I go with the Ice Beam because Sceptile is Grass. Dragon, so that's like 4 times effective from the ice, and so he goes with the rock slide. I live again, like just barely. I don't know why. And then the sandstorm doesn't even take me out. So I go for the outrage and get some damage down onto the Zapdos. And so the sandstorm takes out my Dragonite, but I swap into my Zap because I mean Hidden Power Ice. It doesn't do much to my Zapdos. I've said as I've said as I've said from the previous one. So I just go for the Heat Wave right there. And then he goes for the Heat Wave as well. So I go for the Roost because Sandstorm can deal a little bit more damage to their Zapdos, and so I go for the kill with the Heat Wave, but he ends up switching out to the Garchomp, and so I'm just like, okay, I'll just go for the Toxic, and he starts setting up. So I knew I was free to Toxic again. And so I swap out here to my Steelix because he's not going to Earthquake a Zapdos. So I'm expecting the Dragon move. That's what he does. He actually does some pretty big damage. So I switch out to my Zapdos here, thinking that he would do an Earthquake to so I would get like no damage, and toxic damage would stack up. But he ended up sending out Mew, and I wanted to. So I went for the toxic, and that missed, and so he sent out an ice beam, and so I just had to roost that back up, give another toxic, and then he ice beams, and then I roost again, and then toxic, and then ice beam and roost. It's just a big cycle. I would speed this up if I can, if I could, but I can't. So he goes for the ice beam. I go for the roost. I think after I think toxic. I think I go for the thunderbolt right here. And yeah, and so he switches out to Garchomp and takes the Thunderbolt because he's a ground type Pokemon, and so I just go for another Heat Wave. It doesn't really do that much. He goes for the Dragon Rush because I kind of took my chances thinking that I would miss because of the 75% accuracy, but it didn't really. He still hit me, so I just went for the Roost here, and the toxic damage takes him out. So who's he send out now? So he sends out Tyranitar, so I'm expecting like a Rock Slide, So I Roost here, and he, of course, Rock Slides me. So I Roost one more time. I get really close to full health, and so I'm not going to Roost anymore just because I don't think I'm really going to get any more health out of that. So I just go for the kill. And so here, I Roost again. He goes for the Ice Beam. And then I just go for the kill with the Thunderbolt after the Toxic and Sandstorm damage. So right now it's 3-2. My Zapdos is going strong, and he sends in his Sceptile. So this Sceptile caused me so many problems. So I go for the Toxic. Of course, he outspeeds me, and I'm like, okay, I can go for the Toxic. Please don't miss. It hits. Thank God. And so he Rock Slide. I was really hoping for the Rock Slide miss so I could just get another Toxic off, but it ended up hitting me. And I was really lucky to not get a flinch. So I knew that my Giratina is a tank, so I could take and whatever he had to deal out. So I just went for the Toxic, and I was like, maybe I can live another Earthquake, and I live with 98 health. Like, that was insane. So I just go for the Shadow Force, and the Toxic damage starts to rack up. He misses with the Earthquake because I'm a Shadow Force, and then I hit him, Toxic damage, he kills me, Toxic damage takes him out, and all he has left is a Zapdos with Heat Wave, and all I have left is a Steelix. And I'm like, okay, man, I really, really, really need this Heat Wave to miss. And I get the Quick Claw, and I get the Crunch off because I couldn't afford a Rock Slide miss, and I crit him, and everything went perfectly that turn, and I ended up winning. So that was insane. I was going crazy. Like, I wasn't like yelling or anything because that'd be a little weird, but like I was like, yes, oh my gosh, like, oh man, that felt so good because that guy was causing so many problems. I think I might have played him like once before. I'm not really too sure, but man, like, that was crazy. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys like these two insane battles. If you want more, I guess leave a like. Maybe subscribe. But yeah, my name is Faints. On behalf of the Master Guild and Server 39, check us out. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.